I've had a long, very long experience with religion. Um, I grew up in a church. My father was a minister. My grandparents were in the church on both sides of my family. My body, mind, and soul has always been engulfed in some type of religion. And the thoughts about it is, a lot of it's controlled me, manipulated me, gave me self-esteem issues. These things have really been a setback in my life because a lot of things that I wanted to do in life, I was also always forced to go by the sidelines of religion. And religion has really, really, really just beat me down in life, where I couldn't really speak my mind, couldn't really go forth with ideas that I wanted to do, things that I was good at, talents that I had. A lot of things always were just pressure on me coming from religion. When I was a kid and I started off karate class, and my mom had put me in karate class as a kid, maybe around about 7 years old, and I remember my grandfather saying to me how I didn't need to defend myself. I needed to let Christ fight my battles. Coming to tell a man that he can't defend himself or protect himself, even in a worse situation. Us as black people are always beat down by religion because we're always just pushed into a passive role. We've always been just kept to keep our heads down and not speak our mind, not to fight or just go along with the situation. A lot of people look at me sometimes and think that, just because I want to protect myself and I'm black, that there's something wrong with that. You got white boys walking around and, there's no problem with them having guns. There's no problem with them having guns in their truck. They got open carry, in their states and things, even though the states don't belong to them, but they have a way of manipulating their laws that they can still walk around and, carry their guns. But let the average black man do that. Law-abiding black man do that. He's going to be pulled over. He's going to be harassed. Even if he never goes to jail, the harassment of why he still has possession of a firearm is still going to be, it's going to be challenged. I've had interactions with people in the Nation of Islam. I used to work for the Nation of Islam at one time in the early 90s when I was really young, and I had a lot of respect for them. They seem to be like what men, I thought, in my image, really should be. But as you look at religion and you see how it controls people, whether it's the Bible, the Koran, any religion, it limits you. Spirituality should be one of those things that you should let the source that you tap into, not calling it God, but the source. I think that we're all connected to, that's all around us, that energy that gives us our ideas, our thoughts. I'm not saying every idea and thought is perfect. Things have to be, analyzed in your own personal life or whatever the case is. The laws and things, don't allow everything, and it shouldn't. But at the same time, you should be able to express yourself and have a thoughts where naturally how it takes place. Even the worst ideas, can be worked out and formed into something that works for everyone, or even just for yourself. where it doesn't hurt everyone. You know, I've had a deep relationship with religion because it was forced on me as a kid, and a lot of times, I think about the memories and things that I went through where people don't think of them as horror stories, but a lot of those things manipulate you in life and don't allow you to go forth and do the things that you need to do that's in your spirit, that the source is put in there from the jump. You know, I've had things where when I was younger, I wanted to go to the military. I didn't go to the military because of religion. Not necessarily saying that it would have worked out, or having someone, tell me, that, it's wrong to participate in wanting to do something for your country, and a lot of things, even in my art form when I was growing up, you're reading the Bible and it says makes no graven image of anything, you know, in heaven and hell, above, in, on earth or whatever. But it, when it comes down to it, that whole thing just really just plagued me when I was a kid, and I was drawing stuff, and I was drawing pictures of God. I was drawing pictures of everything, because that was my talent. And it really hurt me, to be like, wow, is this offending God, And as I got older, I started to really question what was God, and the biggest thing that I've learned in life is that God is just an idea. It exists in everyone, Like a lot of people say it, but they don't really put emphasis or sit back and think about it, or get in depth about it, But God is a thinking process. It's real, but it's not the concept that you hold in your mind when you think about a book. When they say inspired by God, whether it's the Koran or the Bible, it's just another man's ideas, another man's thoughts, his beliefs. It's not set in stone, because thoughts change constantly. People's minds change. You're always perfecting things. When they say the same God today, tomorrow, forever, whatever the case is, it's just not true, because thinking always changes with every situation. You know, things always change with every situation. There's no written law that you can put and write down everything on how and what you're going to deal with, because reality changes every day. There will be something new that you would have to sit down and just figure out. The process of thinking is God, you know, regardless of how bad an idea is, even when I think about reading passages in the Bible where you're dealing with people and incest and things, you're dealing with something that's based on culture and beliefs. Each culture is different, you know. What we don't support in the States is different somewhere in overseas. These things, a lot of people sit down and they get tunnel vision from reading their Bible or reading their Quran or any religion that they have, and they think it becomes worshiping your religion by nature makes you either a racist, a bigot, or just closed-minded. You know, uh, when you sit down and you write things and you put things in a book, tablet, whatever that you believe, and anything. If you say this is how we're gonna get to space, and you just limit it to chemical rockets or whatever the case, and you never think outside the box and say maybe I can do this with gravity or some other means, you're limiting yourself. There's always something new that you can learn, that takes you past. And these things, when you're dealing with a Bible, it limits your spirituality, because your spirituality has to grow from one point. There's always some other point where you have to grow. There's a whole universe out here, and we just stop at the atmosphere and the sky. You know, the sky is never the limit, you know, as far as the source and our intellect is. That's the one thing that we have over animals and things, that we have a limit. We don't have a limit as far as growth and thinking, you know. I think a lot of times we take for granted of how powerful we are, and we give ourselves limits. And I don't know if it's something else, you know, that's holding us back, or, you know, we base things on situations, fears, and a lot of things that you see in the Quran and the Bible are based on fears.